the economy originated as, household management. It was a vehicle to promote the good life. It was, intended to provide for the immediate needs of your family, clothing, shelter, food. And then, in an ideal situation, you would free up time to, have civic participation, talk about politics of the day, go mountain biking, So I feel that, a paradigm shift of, work, money, has kind of, there is a lot of opportunity if we, get back to like what it really means to have more positive community economic development policies going forward. So, so first thing I want to say on that is like, really think it's great how many people are here right now. What's the solution to changing the way we look at the economy? Participation. So, strengthening our entrepreneurial ecosystem is something we really, excuse me, I'm nervous. I'm not even have a cold or anything. Regroup. So I had the opportunity to travel to Ottawa for Startup Canada to represent Sault Ste. Marie, Startup Sioux. And it was a full-day conference, and there was really cool panelists from all different places, government officials, and I was super nervous the whole time I was there. And I, for the first half of the day, I thought, like, I don't belong here. I was wearing fancy clothes that somebody else had picked out for me, and I was, try to, remember what kind of, soundbite I was going to say if someone says, "What do you do as an economic developer?" And then halfway through the day, I realized, like, if I don't belong here, then nobody does. Like, I ran a business by myself for 12 years, not by myself, but for 12 years, I have been taken a lot of education in economics, accounting, that kind of thing. So, if I, as a, quite privileged, educated adult woman, don't feel like I belong in that, well, there's probably a lot of other people who don't, feel as comfortable. So, I think it's really important as a community for us to, like, continue to encourage diversity, inclusion, and, those kind of policies. Yeah, so I'm going to go on to another core concept that I think is like really exciting, and segue is a little weak, but economic leakage. Does anybody know? Have you heard this term, economic leakage? So everybody's heard of, shop local campaigns. Everybody pretty sure understands the benefit of shopping local on a consumer level. But I feel that there's a holistic, bigger picture that gets a little bit overlooked. So picture a bucket. Inflow is revenue, money. And then at the bottom of the bucket, you have outflows. And so these are leaks. So you have profits. You have consumer purchases. You have business supplies. And banking, institutional fees and stuff. So in traditional economic development, people think you put enough water in the top, your bucket's gonna be fuller. You measure the level of economic activity by how full the bucket is. But if you keep putting water in and it keeps flowing out the bottom, then it's not gonna be as effective. So, economic leakage studies, do something called the economic multiplier effect, and they measure like the impact of not only putting the money in once, but then it coming back in again and again and being recirculated in the economy. So how do you do this? Number one, consumer purchasing. But the second one, which I think is really attainable and all of us can help promote it within our community, is small business spending. So I owned a restaurant for 12 years. I'm going to use that as an example. But I'm also going to say that this organization called Loco in British Columbia gave me this idea. And so they did this promotion where it's, how am I local? And they put the business in the middle, and then they encourage you to put 8 other suppliers around that you're related to, So at the cafe, we supported local agriculture. Mill Market, Algoma, Jarden Farms, then our art on the wall was locally sourced, changed monthly. Our waste management system, we were feeding chickens and compost, so it was pretty progressive and community oriented. Our accounting, our insurance, our banking, credit unions, the money stays in more often. So I think all of these things, I don't know. I think that there could be a lot of opportunity. This year when you're participating in a Shop Local campaign, Buy Local campaign, you can, talk to the business owners and, say, how are you doing this too? You know what I mean? Is this, yeah, okay. So, and then the next one that I really feel passionate about is government institutional leakage. So the Canadian government spends $50 billion a year in expenses, approximately, and a lot of that, most of the the highest off-book supplier of municipalities, institutions across Canada is a multinational corporation that has no impact on the communities. So if you're ordering everything off of this business, I know everybody knows who it is. There might be the last mile of Canada Post that the community is retaining the money, but the rest of it is, it's just leaving the community, So for municipalities and institutions to start implementing more social procurement policies that are encouraging local spending for those things, and it would go a long way. In the food system, there's a great example. There's an organization called Feed Comox, and they were noticing that the farmers, the agriculture system was reducing. They were importing all their food, and they really wanted to strengthen the farming economy. So they made relationships with a long-term care home and a college, and then they picked 5 crops that they, had a partnership. You grow this, we'll buy it, and so it took away the uncertainty of, I don't want to grow too many carrots, I don't know if I'm going to sell them, what are you going to do with them, you know what I mean? They set up a contract where they had the security of demand, and they had, anyway, so those kind of partnerships in the food industry, in our institutions, I think could be highly effective at ensuring our food security. So I just want to say the last thing about the multiplier effect, that directly looks like more jobs, higher pay, and higher quality of life. So if we're talking about the economics of well-being, then having a higher quality life is important. So now I'm going to talk about a third concept that I think is super neat, and it's social innovation. So we touched on social procurement, but social enterprises are valuing not just money, but, people, planet, profit, financial, social, and environmental impacts are measured. So if we could encourage our municipalities, institutions, community to support these social enterprises, they cost the same amount of money as a traditional business, yet the value is much higher, so the return on investment is really going to have a positive effect, long-term effect. So an example is there's a company called Build in Manitoba. They deal with Manitoba housing. They sell outcomes as part of their business proposition. So they are measured based on reduction. It's a training program, employment program, and they get measured by a reduced rate of incarceration, an increase in licensing, bringing families back together, that kind of thing. So I think when we're talking about social procurement, if we can get people to start valuing businesses that value the triple bottom line approach instead of just the profit, that's really important in moving our economy forward. So, yeah. I really like being here. I was super nervous. And I was thinking about that expression they say, analysis paralysis. But in the economics of well-being, I learned the term perfection stagnation. So, I was trying to write a speech and then, anyway. So I encourage everybody who ever deals with perfection stagnation to just go for it. You've been very, yeah, there you go.